In any household move, before the mover begins to pack or load, many items will be taken apart. In years past, many parts like screws from mirror brackets, keys to desks and clocks, hardware from beds and wall units were just put in drawers or taped to the item. It never failed. No matter how careful one can be, small parts can be misplaced or lost. The setup carton is one of the most important cartons during any move. The word setup says it all. It is the first carton that is put together. It is the last carton taken out of the home. It is the first carton that is brought into the new home. It is especially important on container shipments so that the unloading crew is not held up searching for the setup carton when delivering. Van line policy states that a setup carton is used for every shipment. A setup carton is a 2 cubic foot carton. A label is affixed to it and is pretty obvious and colorful. The setup carton is initiated in most cases by the packer. The setup carton should be placed in the central location within the residence so that any member of the crew has access. The kitchen or hallway is a good place for the carton to be placed. The setup carton must be identified on the inventory as a setup carton 2 cube. The setup carton is in most cases a parts carton. Hardware and screws of the items that have been taken apart are the most common items placed in the setup carton. Hardware or other items must be individually wrapped and marked. This carton is also used to put things that are needed right away at the new residence. Items like phones, TV remotes, audio and TV wiring, small legs and casters. As some pieces of furniture are taken apart, the small parts and screws that keep the items together must be wrapped in packing paper and then taped. Each package should be marked with a permanent marker with what is in the package and the room location. The setup carton is a very valuable carton as it holds all the different pieces of hardware and screws. The setup carton is one of those things that must be explained. When on the job, you do not always have the same crew, so it is imperative that your crew knows what you as a crew leader expect. Isn't it nice to know that all the parts and screws from the dismantled items are in the same carton? The setup carton is the go-to carton. There are many different crews delivering, and not everyone does the same thing as you would. When policy is followed, everyone is on the same page. The setup carton is where all the parts are. Some hardware is very unique and not easily replaceable. The customers need their bed tonight, not when the hardware is found. In conclusion, it is difficult enough to figure out how an item goes back together, never mind having to waste time searching for the hardware. The setup carton is a claims prevention tool and costs nothing to use, yet can save thousands of dollars in claims. Use the setup carton on every move you do. The simplest way to transport hanging clothing is to use a stand-up wardrobe carton. The stand-up wardrobe carton has an aluminum bar that spans 2 sides. Wardrobes generally hold about 2 linear feet of closet space. Begin by having the wardrobe carton near the closet. Secure the bar with packing tape and put clean paper on the bottom of the carton. Begin to hang the clothing on the bar within the carton. Do not overstuff the wardrobe carton and do not pack anything in the bottom of the carton. Drapes are another item that can be put on a hanger and put into the wardrobe carton. Distribute the clothing evenly along the metal bar, as this will make a difference when carrying the wardrobe carton. When you have finished hanging the clothing in the wardrobe, put a piece of packing tape over the bar, as this will secure the hangers to prevent any shifting of the clothing. Put clean paper over top of the clothes to avoid any dust. And finish by taping the wardrobe carton shut. And lastly, using a permanent marker, write the customer's name, order number, room, and contents on the wardrobe carton. When you have clothing in dresser drawers, the options are to leave them in the drawers or remove them and pack them into cartons. If they are going to be left in drawers, then 1 or 2 clean sheets of packing paper should be placed over top of the clothes for each drawer. This typically will apply if the customer is moving from residence to residence. If the customer's belongings are going into storage, it is recommended that the clothing be packed into cartons. 4 or 5 cubic foot cartons are the choices in which to pack flat, folded clothing. Place the carton right next to the area where the clothing is to be packed, and begin by lining the entire carton with clean packing paper. Start from the bottom drawer and work your way up. Begin to empty each drawer by neatly placing the clothing into the carton. Before emptying the next drawer, place clean packing paper covering the clothing from the first drawer. Continue emptying each drawer and place paper over top of each section of clothing. This will keep the customer's clothing organized and will be much easier to unpack and separate at destination. It is also good practice to advise the customer as to how you are packing, especially if you are separating things in a carton. This will make it easier for the customer to unpack if they choose to do their own unpacking. If there are any breakables in the clothing drawers, then they must be removed and packed separately. A good practice is to have the customer present or at least discuss with the customer and get the customer's permission to open their drawers and pack their sometimes very personal clothing. Fill the carton to its maximum. If at all possible, avoid mixing other room clothing with the one you're working in. Pack everything firmly to prevent any movement, but do not bow the sides or tops of the carton. When the carton is full and you see there is some loose space, add crushed paper to tighten things up. Finish up by placing the paper lining the sides over top of the clothing and then tape the carton shut. And lastly, with a permanent marker, write the customer's order number, name, room location, and contents on the carton. Another thing you could write is which family member's clothing you have just packed. Before beginning to pack, always obtain permission from your customer to use their table or other work area. Ensure it is properly protected with a furniture pad. The carton used to pack china is called a dish barrel carton. The dish barrel carton is a 2-walled carton that is thicker than a regular carton and is made to support the added weight of china. Begin packing by placing crushed paper on the bottom of the carton, as this will act as a cushion. Cups come in sets of 4 or more. Inform the customer if sets are incomplete, as this will eliminate any chance of missing pieces when the unpacking is performed. If you are packing heavier items, such as dishes in the same carton, make sure they are placed in the carton before the cups, as they are the heavier item. Cups should be placed in the upper layers of the carton. The dish barrel you see has already been packed with the heavier items. Dishes have been packed and they are in the lower layers of the carton. Add crushed paper to the layer before packing the cups. This forms a safe cushion for your cups. Begin by putting the cups right next to your clean packing paper. The handle is the most fragile part of the cup. Wrap cups individually by rolling them in a single or double layer of paper, and this will depend on your level of experience. Make sure you protect the handles. This will minimize any potential damage. Place your cup at the corner of the paper closest to you. Start from the corner, wrap it diagonally, and continually tucking in the overlapping edges, emphasizing more paper around the handle area for better protection. Place the wrapped cups upside down and on their rims and in a row. Place all pieces with the handles facing in the same direction. Placing cups in the dish barrel this way will utilize their own structural strength. In this case, there was only 1 row of cups. If you had more cups to pack, then you will start the next row by adding crushed paper to the top layer of the cups you had just finished packing, and then begin packing your next row of cups. Utilize the dish barrel to its maximum. Do not leave any loose space within the carton. If there is any space left, place crushed paper to fill and tighten up any loose space. Once the carton is full, add clean sheets of paper to the top before sealing the carton. As you can see, the carton is full and everything in it is neat and organized. Packing this way will ensure that the contents of the carton will travel safely. And lastly, using a permanent marker, write the customer's name, contents, order number, and room location. There are always many pairs of shoes to pack. Shoes can be packed in 2 or 4 cubic foot cartons. Pack shoes in pairs and in their original boxes whenever possible. If the shoe box is not available, wrap them in clean packing paper to prevent any scuffing. Your choice of carton will depend on how many pairs of shoes there are, and in this case we are using a 4 cube. Begin by putting the shoe boxes into the carton first. Shoe boxes can be big and bulky. It is recommended to put the shoe boxes into the carton before the wrapped shoes. If there's any space after your first layer, use crushed paper to fill that space. Begin your next row by putting a clean sheet of paper separating the next layer of shoes. Place your clean packing paper right next to your work area. Place one of the shoes on the corner of the paper nearest to you. Start from the corner, wrap diagonally, and just cover the first shoe with part of the paper. And before finishing with the rest of the paper, add the other shoe so the pair fit into each other and stay together. Continue to roll and tuck in the overlapping edges of the paper, making a nice, neat bundle. Place the wrapped pair of shoes flat into the carton. Do not apply any pressure by pressing down onto the bundles of shoes. Do not place any heavy items on the shoes. Fill the carton to its maximum. If there is any space left, use crushed paper to tighten the carton up and place clean paper over top and tape it shut. And lastly, with a permanent marker, write the customer's order number, name, room location, and contents on the carton. Before beginning to pack, always obtain permission from your customer to use their table or other work area. Ensure it is properly protected with a furniture pad. Stemware is usually pretty delicate glassware. Stemware should be packed in a dish barrel carton or even a 2 cube that can be put into the dish barrel carton. The dish barrel carton is a 2-walled carton that is thicker than a regular carton and is made to support the added weight of china. Prepare the dish barrel by placing crushed paper on the bottom of the carton, as this will act as a cushion. If you are packing other items like dishes in the same carton, make sure that the heavier items are packed in the carton before the glasses. In this case, the glasses should be placed in the upper layers of the carton. Most stemware comes in sets of 4 or more. Inform the customer if sets are incomplete, as this will eliminate any chance of missing pieces when the unpacking is done. Stemware can be wrapped with clean packing paper or tissue paper, or both. This will depend on what the customer will pay for. Either method will work if done properly. Begin by packing by putting stemware right next to your clean packing paper. Wrap glasses individually by rolling them in a single or double layer of paper, and this will depend on your level of experience. Set the glass down on its side near the corner of the paper. Start from the corner, wrap in diagonally, and continuously tucking in the overlapping edges. When you have a stem to deal with, move the paper over towards the stem area to cover and protect the stem, as this is a very fragile area of the glass. Emphasizing more paper around the stem will help protect your glass and make a better bundle. Place the wrapped stem glass upside down and on its rim and in a row. Placing glasses this way will utilize the glass's own structural strength. When you have very fragile or expensive stemware, protect the stem by wrapping paper or tissue paper around the stem before wrapping the rest of the glass as discussed. Tissue paper is yet another way to wrap and protect stemware. Use white tissue paper as color paper will stain. Wrap the same way as with the clean newsprint. Wrap a piece of tissue paper around the stem and then start from the corner again using tissue paper, wrapping diagonally and continually tucking in the overlapping edges. Then use a clean sheet of paper and completely cover the piece of stemware, starting from the corner, wrapping diagonally, and continuously tucking in the overlapping edges, making a nice, neat, tight bundle. Place the wrapped glass into the carton upside down, on its rim, and in a row. Placing glasses this way will utilize the glass's own structural strength. After you have completed a row of glassware in the carton, start your next row by adding crushed paper and begin packing your next row of stemware. Utilize the dish barrel carton to its maximum. Do not leave any loose space within the carton. If there is space at the top of the carton or on its sides, fill it with crushed paper so the layer and the rest of the contents in the carton will be tight with less chance of shifting. Tape the carton shut. As you can see, the carton is full and everything in it is neat and organized. Packing this way will ensure that the contents of the carton will travel